I remember one time when we were on vacation, me and my wife, we took one of those catamaran sunset cruises. And as we sailed off, like towards, I guess, the sea or wherever in the beyond the bay of where we were, I remember looking just, sitting with a drink in my hand, looking out with a little appetizer. And I remember just noticing the horizon. And as I sat there, looking out as the sun was just starting to dip beyond the sight lines, um, I just remember being surrounded by nothing but water. The wind was steady. The sea was pretty calm. All we had was the rocking back and forth of the boat. Um, as I looked towards that edge of the earth, I realized as the sun was dipping back, there was just nothing there. There was no land, no island, nothing visible that I could see or point to give me any direction on the map besides the sun. You remember how it is. It rises in the east and sets in the west. But I just remember just the motion, just a routine, another day at sea. And for a while, that feels okay. But eventually, you kind of start to have this feeling of where are we going? How is the captains able to know where they're going with no visibility of any landmarks or anything? And that's the question kind of that I've been having with so many people lately, so many different conversations. And we're talking about not people whose lives are falling apart, but from people whose lives look perfectly fine, perfectly okay on the outside. Their work is stable, their family is good, their health is okay, they're moving towards their degree, they're hitting the milestones kind of that they set for themselves. They're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. And yet, to them, something feels off. It's like a fog is starting to settle in. It's a dullness, it's a loss of forward momentum that they just can't quite figure out. I hear things from them that says, I feel like I'm just going through the motions, but I don't feel like I'm moving towards anything. I hear them say, I should feel grateful, but I just feel stuck. Every decision that they seem to make seems to be heavier than it should, and they just can't quite figure out as to why. And every time I hear these conversations and as I'm listening, the only thing I think of is that horizon that we talked about. Because when I listen to them, what seems to be missing isn't their effort, it isn't their ambition, their desire. It's really that longer term vision. It's the absence of that horizon, just what's on the other side of what they can't see. See, when we stop looking ahead, when we stop dreaming just even a little bit, life just starts to flatten out. Our days blur together. We get caught up in that routine. Our decisions feel a little heavier. And you know what? We lose power that comes from having something that's actually drawing us forward, that pull, that tug that brings us towards that horizon. And I'll be honest, I felt that too. And not in crisis moments, but it's the in between moments where it usually comes. The ones where everything's working, but nothing really feels alive. I think about when we don't have a horizon, even our best days can start to just feel like maintenance instead of movement. You know what I'm talking about. Just kind of doing your thing every day. Now, let me pause for a second and let me say something. Your horizon is not your to-do list. It's not the title that you have. It's not even the salary you make. You know what? It's not even what looks good on paper. Your horizon is actually a true direction, a true trajectory. It's a vision that reflects who you want to become, not just what you're achieving. Now, your horizon could be something as big as starting a new chapter in your life, transitioning, changing jobs, changing, what you're doing with your life, rebranding yourself. But it also could be something as simple as, you know, I want to feel proud of how I show up this week. I also want to prioritize my rest. And it could also be, I want to move towards relationships that expand me, not just ones that I have to shrink to fit in. See, a horizon doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be true to who you are and who you're becoming. And when it is, that's when everything changes. Because here's what I've noticed. When we live without a horizon, even small choices feel hard. We overthink every yes we want to make. We second guess every no. We get caught up in loops of busyness and indecision. And it's not because we're weak or confused, but it's because we have nothing that's pulling us forward, nothing that helps to order the decisions to know if my yes should be yes and my no should be no. But when we do have a horizon, something that's just beyond your sight line, our yeses get lighter. Our no's become much more definitive without guilt. And guess what? Our energy returns. And it's not from the hustle and the grind. It's because we're now gaining and getting into alignment. Now, I do want to make sure I talk about something tricky here, or something that just, may trip us up, so to speak. And I'll just kind of call it this idea of a false horizon. Because sometimes we do set goals, right? We set them. We know what they are. We've made the SMART goals. We made them specific. We made them measurable, actionable. We made them, realistic and target-based or time-based. But we know you achieve them and they don't satisfy you. You know what I mean? You get that promotion and you get it and you still feel kind of empty. You may cross that end of that semester or that finish line and you feel more lost than proud. That's a false horizon. It looked like purpose at the time, but it was really just pressure because it wasn't tied to something that was further down. It was a goal maybe that was shaped by comparison. Maybe it was a goal that was shaped by someone else's expectations. Or maybe you just made that goal because you had a fear of looking like you fell behind. See, false horizons will keep you moving. They will keep you busy, but they ultimately will never fulfill you. They make you feel like you're sailing with purpose, but in actuality, you just don't want to be sailing and looking still. You don't want to just be caught in the harbor. You want to look like you're moving. So here's a shift that I would encourage you to consider. Don't just ask, what am I working towards? I think you should ask, is what I'm working towards mine? Is this my true direction? Or did I choose this detour because I was scared of the alternative? You may also want to ask yourself, am I chasing approval or am I chasing impact? Does the horizon that I'm currently sailing towards actually reflect my values, my future, my soul? Or is it just something that I'm checking off a box for my resume? Consider this. When your horizons are true to you, to who you are, to who you want to become, to the life you want to live, that's when everything starts to align. And even if you're not there yet, I would just really encourage you to believe that horizon line, that goal, what you're chasing is just on the other side of the horizon. And when you have that belief and understanding and alignment, you'll move with more peace, more power, more freedom. So just for this weekend, do this for me, right? I would encourage you to consider, if anything that I said sounds remotely familiar, right? Maybe you don't want to claim it, but maybe if it just sounds familiar, I encourage you to take just 10 minutes this weekend. Today, tomorrow, the next day, sometime soon. Just take 10 minutes and not just ask yourself, what is your horizon? What does your life look like that you want to have 5 years from now? What is that 5-year version? So right now I'm recording this 2025. What is the 2030 version of you look like? What is it that you want? What is it that how you live? What does your family look like? What is your social circles? How much money you're making? And guess what? If you can start to just establish and vision as to who that person is, the decisions today will order themselves in such a way that it'll make that a reality for you in 5 years. Even if you don't know all of the plans. Now, notice what I said. I didn't say, I asked you to vision who you were, who you want to be, and what does the horizon look like? This is not your task list. This is not what looks good to others. This is what's calling you, will call you forward, that will pull you through the begrudgery of maybe your current journey. This will pull you forward where it'll help to motivate you in times where you don't feel motivated. These will answer questions such as it's a value and a vision that you want to honor. It's a feeling that you want to reclaim. It's a chapter that you are ready to begin. So, and here's the thing. Just like when I was on that catamaran, or if you've ever been on a boat, you know what I'm talking about. There's moments where you can't see what's on the other side. You can't see what's there, but guess what? You sometimes just have to keep sailing. You have to set your compass, right? Because this visioning, it doesn't have to be this giant leap. You just have to sail in the direction. And it comes with one quiet decision, one honest conversation, one bold no. Because when you live with that horizon line in sight, your life starts to feel like it's your story again. And what I can tell you is, I guess we can stay with the nautical theme. You don't need a lighthouse. You don't even need certainty. You just need a direction that feels honest to you. Because guess what? Even when you can't see the land, even when nothing appears to be visible on the side, your horizon is there. And I promise you, if you keep sailing, just like the captain on the boat or the captain on a cruise ship, they look and they don't see a horizon, but their compass and their trajectory and their calculations and their coordinates get them to their destination. And you will rise. And just know you're not lost. You are early to your destination. But if you keep sailing, I promise you, you'll get there. And as always, guys, I love you much.